The moment I received Tamsin's urgent message, my heart raced. What could be so important that she needed to reach out to me in the dead of night? I felt a knot of anxiety forming in my stomach, mixed with a flicker of curiosity. Secrets had a way of creeping into the open, and I was terrified of what hers might be. I sat on my couch, the dim light casting shadows around the room as the rain pounded against the windows. Each drop felt like a drumbeat, echoing the tension in the air. Tamsin arrived, her face pale and her eyes wide, as if she had seen a ghost. The room felt heavy, like a thick fog suffocating every word we might say. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Of course," I replied, trying to keep my own voice steady. "What's going on?" She took a deep breath, and I could see her hands trembling slightly. It was as if she was gathering the courage to share something that would change everything. "I need to tell you something. Something important." My heart dropped, knowing that whatever it was couldn't be good. "Just tell me," I urged, feeling the weight of her hesitation. Tamsin's gaze dropped to the floor, and I could tell she was struggling with her words. "I've been seeing someone. A married man." My stomach twisted at her confession. I felt a wave of disbelief wash over me. "What? Tamsin, you can't be serious." She looked up, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I am. It's complicated, and I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to hurt you." But the truth was already hurting. "Who is he?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. Her silence felt like an eternity. "It's your uncle," she finally whispered, and the world around me spun. My uncle. The very thought shattered my perception of family. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. "You're kidding, right? You can't be serious." Tamsin shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I wish I was. I didn't mean for it to happen. We got close, and it just happened." The betrayal stung, cutting deeper than I ever thought possible. How could you do this? How could you betray me like this? "I didn't want to," she cried. "I didn't choose this. I thought I could handle it, but I can't. I feel trapped." I felt a whirlwind of emotions, anger, confusion, and a strange sense of sympathy mixed within me. "You're in love with him?" I asked, even as I feared the answer. "No," she exclaimed, her voice rising in desperation. "I'm not in love. I don't know what it is. It's complicated. I feel so alone." I swallowed hard, trying to process her words. My mind raced. How could she feel alone when she was with someone? The irony twisted my insides. "You need to end this. It's wrong, Tamsin. You're breaking up our family." "I know," she whispered, her voice breaking. "But I don't know how. I feel so lost. He makes me feel alive, but I know it's wrong. I need help." As I stared into her eyes, I saw more than just regret. I saw someone who was vulnerable and scared. I remembered the times we had shared, the laughter, the bond we thought would never break. "You need to make a choice," I said, my voice softer now. "But I can't be a part of this." Tamsin nodded slowly, understanding the gravity of her situation. The rain continued to pound against the windows, the sound echoing the storm brewing inside me. I felt torn between loyalty to my family and the friendship we had built. The weight of her confession hung heavy in the air, and I wondered what would become of us, of our friendship, our families, everything we knew. Tamsin sat across from me, her hands wrapped tightly around a warm mug of tea, as if it could shield her from the storm brewing outside. The rain continued to hammer against the windows, each drop echoing the turmoil inside me. I looked at her, trying to piece together the fragments of her confession. "I didn't plan for this to happen," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. It just did." I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. But Tamsin, he's married. And not just anyone. He's my uncle. The words tasted bitter on my tongue. She flinched at my tone, her eyes clouded with emotion. I know, but you have to understand. He makes me feel alive. He listens to me in ways no one else does. The weight of her words pressed down on me. I wanted to feel angry. I wanted to shout at her for the pain she was causing, but there was something deeper at play. What about your other relationships? The ones that matter? I asked, trying to hold on to a shred of my own values. Tamsin looked down, her voice breaking. I felt so lonely for so long. I thought I was doing the right thing by finding someone who cared. Her confession hit me squarely in the heart. I remembered the carefree days of our childhood, running through the fields, laughter echoing against the sun. We had been inseparable, lost in our little world. The memories contrasted sharply against the harsh reality we now faced. Do you remember those summer days? I asked, trying to lighten the mood. We used to play by the creek for hours, dreaming about our futures. A faint smile flickered on her lips. Yes, I remember. We thought we could do anything, be anyone. I sighed, feeling the emotional weight of our shared history. And now look at us. How did we get here? Tamsin looked up at me, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I just wanted to feel something real. Her vulnerability tugged at my heartstrings. How could I judge her so harshly when she was clearly in pain? But Tamsin, this is a mess. What you're doing is wrong. You're tearing apart families. I know, she cried, her voice rising. But I feel trapped. I don't know how to stop. He makes me feel seen, and I can't just throw that away. I felt the room spin as I tried to process everything. My mind raced between anger and empathy. But at what cost? What happens when the truth comes out? You'll lose everything. She shook her head, the tears spilling over. I can't think about that right now. I just need you to understand. I leaned back in my chair, my heart heavy. I don't know if I can understand this, Tamsin. I want to support you, but it feels wrong. The silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. I could feel the storm outside mirroring the chaos within. Tamsin wiped her tears and took a deep breath. I don't expect you to agree with me. I just need someone to talk to, someone who knows me. Then talk, I urged, feeling a flicker of hope that maybe we could find a way through this darkness together. Tell me everything. Tamsin looked at me, her eyes searching mine. What if I told you I'm scared? Scared of being alone, scared of losing you, scared of what I've done. Her honesty pierced through the fog in my mind. As much as I wanted to be angry, I found myself leaning closer, wanting to comfort her. You're not alone, I'm here. But you have to think about what you're doing. I know, she whispered, her voice trembling. But I don't know how to get out of this. In that moment, I felt a strange sense of connection. The storm outside raged on, but inside, we were two souls grappling with choices that were tearing us apart and pulling us together at the same time. I wanted to help her, but I knew I was walking a tightrope of morality. The rain continued to fall, a reminder of the turmoil surrounding us. But I could see a glimmer of hope in Tamsin's eyes, a plea for understanding that echoed my own internal conflict. The air in the room felt different after that kiss. What had been a heavy silence now buzzed with an electric energy that seemed to vibrate between us. My heart raced, not from anxiety this time, but from something deeper, something primal. I watched Tamsin's eyes, searching for a hint of what she felt. Was she as confused as I was? Tamsin, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. What just happened? Her cheeks flushed a deep shade of crimson, and she bit her lip, looking anywhere but at me. I don't know, she replied, her voice shaky. It just felt right in that moment. Right? I echoed, trying to wrap my head around her words. But what does that mean for us? What does it mean for everything else? I felt a mix of desire and guilt swirling inside me, a storm threatening to break. I don't want to overthink this, she said, finally meeting my gaze. But I can't help it. I never wanted to hurt anyone, especially not your family. But I feel so lost, and you make me feel alive. Her confession hit me hard. I could see the conflict in her eyes, the longing for connection, and the fear of the consequences. But Tamsin, what about your affair? What about my uncle? The words came out sharper than I intended. I didn't mean to sound accusatory, but the reality of it all was suffocating. She ran a hand through her hair, frustration etched on her face. I know it's wrong. But the way you look at me, the way we connect, it makes everything else fade away. I can't think about the hurt I'm causing when I'm with you. I took a step back, trying to create some distance between us, but the pull was too strong. The kiss lingered on my lips, and my mind raced with thoughts of betrayal and passion. This is so complicated, I said, shaking my head. I feel like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff, and one wrong step could send me tumbling down. Maybe it's time to take a leap, she suggested, her voice filled with a mix of hope and fear. Maybe we can redefine what this means for us. We could support each other, help each other heal. Her words resonated with me, yet I couldn't shake off the weight of our situation. But what if we hurt the people we love? What if we destroy our families? I was torn between the thrill of what we could be and the reality of the lives we were entangled in. Tamsin stepped closer, her eyes pleading. I don't want to lose you. Can't we just be honest with each other? I need you to be with me, to help me figure this out. The desperation in her voice tugged at my heart. I could feel the warmth radiating from her, the desire that was almost palpable. But there was also a sense of betrayal that hung over us like a dark cloud. I don't know if I can do this, I admitted, my voice breaking slightly. What if this kiss changes everything, but not in a good way? What if it tears us apart instead? Tamsin's expression faltered, and I could see the fear in her eyes. Maybe it will, but maybe it won't. Maybe this is the start of something beautiful. Her words were both a comfort and a challenge. I wanted to believe her, but the thought of crossing that line filled me with dread. The kiss had awakened feelings I didn't know I had, yet the consequences loomed like a shadow. I need time, I finally said, my voice steady but soft. I need to think about all of this. Tamsin nodded, her face falling slightly. I understand. Just know that I care about you, and I don't want to lose you. As she stepped back, the space between us felt heavier than before. I knew this kiss could either bring us closer together or unravel everything we knew. The thrill of passion battled with the looming sense of betrayal. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my racing heart, knowing that whatever happened next would change everything. As I sat across from Tamsin in my dimly lit living room, the weight of our kiss hung heavily in the air. The rain continued to beat against the windows, a steady reminder of the storm brewing inside me. I could feel my heart racing, not from excitement this time, but from fear. We had crossed a line, and now the reality of what we had done began to sink in. Tamsin, I finally said, breaking the tense silence between us. What does this mean for us? She looked down, biting her lip as if contemplating her next words. I don't know. I just know that I can't stop thinking about you. About us. But what about everything else? Our families? Your affair with my uncle? I felt a mix of anger and confusion bubbling inside me. This could destroy everything. I know, she replied, her eyes welling up with tears. But I can't help how I feel. I want to be with you. Can't we just try? I leaned back, overwhelmed by the weight of her plea. The thought of pursuing this forbidden love felt both thrilling and terrifying. Tamsin, This is so complicated. If we go down this path, we could hurt so many people. Maybe, she said softly, but we could also find happiness together. Isn't that worth fighting for? I ran my fingers through my hair, trying to process her words. But what about your feelings for my uncle? You're still involved with him, and I can't just ignore that. Tamsin shook her head. I'm trying to end things with him. I didn't mean for this to happen, but I can't deny what I feel for you. It's different. It's real. Real? I repeated, my voice rising. What about the reality of our families? The trust that is already broken? This is not just about us anymore. I know, she said, her voice trembling. But what if we could make it work? What if we could be happy together despite everything? Her words struck a chord deep within me. Part of me wanted to leap into this new relationship, to embrace the excitement and passion that had suddenly ignited between us. But another part screamed to retreat, to protect the fragile family bonds we had. Do you really think we can just ignore the consequences? I asked, my heart heavy. What if we hurt everyone involved? What if we hurt each other? Tamsin took a deep breath, her expression shifting to one of determination. I don't want to live my life in fear of what others think. I want to be with you, and I believe we can make it work. I stared at her, fighting the urge to reach out and comfort her. You don't understand. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about family, trust, and loyalty. What we're contemplating could destroy everything. She leaned closer, her eyes locked onto mine. What if we could redefine what family means? What if we could build something new together? The intensity of her gaze made my heart race. I felt torn between the warmth of her affection and the icy grip of reality. And what about your affair? I can't just pretend that doesn't exist. I can't just become another secret. Tamsin's voice softened. I'm working on ending things with him. I promise. But I need you to believe in us. Please. Her plea hung in the air, causing my resolve to waver. I could see the hope in her eyes, and it stirred something deep within me. Tamsin, I care about you, but this feels like a leap into darkness. What if it only leads to pain? Tamsin reached for my hand, her touch sending a shiver down my spine. Sometimes, love requires us to take risks. I want to take that risk with you. I'm scared, but I'm more scared of not trying. As I looked into her eyes, I felt the tug of my own heart. The idea of stepping into the unknown with her was both exhilarating and terrifying. I don't know if I can do this, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. Her expression shifted from hopeful to pleading. Please, let's not waste this chance. We owe it to ourselves to see where this can go. I took a deep breath, grappling with my emotions. The stakes were high, and the road ahead was uncertain. But as I held her hand, I knew I had to make a choice that would shape our future forever. The kiss lingered in my mind, a bittersweet memory that felt both thrilling and heavy. Days had passed since that moment, but the fallout was just beginning to ripple through our family. Tamsin and I had crossed a line, and now, the weight of our secret began to separate us, like a growing chasm that neither of us wanted, but could not ignore. As I sat in the living room, the rain drumming against the windows, I could feel the tension in the air. Tamsin had come over, but the warmth we once shared felt distant. We need to talk, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Tamsin looked at me, her eyes filled with worry. I know. This is hard for both of us. I remembered the family gatherings we used to enjoy, laughter ringing through the air. Everyone gathered around the table. Those memories felt tainted now. Do you remember last Christmas? I asked, a pang of nostalgia hitting me. She nodded slowly. It felt perfect. We were all so happy. Now it feels like that happiness is slipping away, I said, my heart heavy. What if our families find out? What will they think of us? Tamsin's face fell. I can't keep living this lie. I thought we could find a way to be together. A lump formed in my throat. But at what cost, Tamsin? Look at what we've done. We can't just ignore the people involved. I know, but I love you, she pleaded, her voice rising with desperation. I can't just pretend that what happened between us didn't mean anything. Her words hung in the air, electrifying and terrifying. I felt my heart race, torn between my feelings for her and the loyalty I owed to my family. What about my uncle? I asked softly, the weight of that name feeling like a stone in my chest. He's part of this too. We're betraying him. Tamsin looked down, her hands trembling. I never meant to hurt anyone. I got caught up in it all. You can't blame me for wanting something real. My mind raced. Flashbacks of happier times flooded in. Birthday parties, laughter, and stories shared by the fireplace. Those moments felt like a lifetime ago. I can't forget those memories. They were real, and now they feel tainted by this betrayal. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and my uncle walked in, his face a mask of confusion. What's going on here? He asked, eyeing us closely. In that moment, I felt exposed. Uncle, we were just... Tamsin cut me off, her voice steady, but trembling. We need to talk about you and me. His expression shifted from confusion to concern. What do you mean? I felt like the room was closing in on me. Tamsin and I, The words caught in my throat. How could I explain this? You're involved with her? He asked, the realization dawning on him. I could see the hurt in his eyes, the betrayal cutting deeper than I had anticipated. It's complicated, I managed to say, though it felt like an understatement. It's not complicated, my uncle replied sharply. It's wrong. You're playing with fire, both of you. Tamsin stepped forward, her voice trembling yet fierce. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. We didn't plan for this to happen. Your actions have consequences, he said, his tone serious. You need to think about your family. As he walked away, I felt the weight of his words settle over me. I turned to Tamsin, my heart racing. What have we done? I don't know, she admitted, tears in her eyes. But we can't go back. We need to decide what we want. It hit me then. I had to choose. I could either continue down this dangerous path of self-destruction or seek redemption by protecting my family from this mess we had created. The thought of losing everything I held dear terrified me. Tamsin, I need time to think, I said, my voice breaking. Please don't shut me out, she begged, her face a mix of fear and longing. I'm not shutting you out. I just need to figure out what this all means, I replied, my heart heavy with uncertainty. The future felt bleak, and I could only hope that whatever choice I made would lead me to a better place. I sat on the edge of my bed, my heart pounding in my chest. The air felt heavy, thick with the weight of everything that had happened. I had to confront Tamsin about what we had done. I knew this moment was coming, but no amount of preparation could ease the knot forming in my stomach. When she arrived, her eyes were red and puffy, as if she had been crying. I hesitated for a moment, but then I took a deep breath and spoke. Tamsin, we need to talk, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She nodded, biting her lip. I know. I feel it too. We stood facing each other, a silence stretching between us, filled with unspoken words and emotions. I could see the pain in her eyes, and it mirrored my own. Do you understand what this means? I asked, my voice rising slightly. What we did, it could ruin everything. I know, she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. But I can't help how I feel about you. I thought we had something real. I took a step back, feeling the distance between us grow. But at what cost, Tamsin? Your affair with my uncle? It's tearing apart our families. I don't want to hurt anyone, but I don't want to lose you either." She wiped her tears, her expression shifting from sorrow to determination. "I can't change what I feel. You know that. I thought you felt the same way. That kiss, it meant something." I ran my hands through my hair, frustration bubbling up inside me. It did mean something, but I can't ignore the consequences. What about my family, my uncle? How can I look them in the eye, knowing what we've done? Tamsin took a step closer, her voice softening. "What if we could make it work? I know it's complicated, but we can find a way." I shook my head, my heart breaking with each word. "You don't understand. This isn't just about us. It's about loyalty and trust and everything that's at stake." She looked down, her shoulders slumping as she whispered, "So, what are you saying? That we should just forget everything? Pretend this never happened?" I hesitated, the silence growing heavier. "I don't want to forget, but I can't let this destroy my family. I care about you, Tamsin, but I also care about them. I feel torn apart." Her eyes flashed with anger. "So you're going to choose them over me? After everything we've shared?" I felt the tears prick at my eyes, but I fought them back. "It's not that simple. I wish it were. But I can't be the reason for this chaos. I can't do that to anyone." Tamsin's face crumpled as she stepped back, the hurt evident in her expression. "I can't believe this. I thought you were different. I thought you would choose love." I took a deep breath, trying to steady my racing heart. "Love is complicated, Tamsin. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. It affects everyone around us. I can't just think about what I want." As I looked into her eyes, I saw the heartbreak reflected back at me. I remembered the laughter we shared, the joy of our childhood, and the warmth of our bond. It felt like a lifetime ago, yet here we were, standing on the edge of a decision that could change everything. "I need time," I finally said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I need to figure this out." Tamsin nodded, tears still streaming down her face. "Time may not be enough for us. What if I can't wait?" I reached out, taking her hand in mine, feeling the warmth of her skin against my own. "I don't want to lose you, Tamsin, but I can't promise you something I'm not sure I can give." With a heavy heart, I watched her turn away, each step away from me, feeling like a piece of my heart was being torn out. The weight of my decision sat heavily on my shoulders. I had chosen to protect my family, but at what cost? As I closed the door behind her, I felt the silence envelop me. I was left alone with my thoughts, grappling with the complexity of love and betrayal, and the choices that had led us here. The future felt uncertain, a path shrouded in fog, leaving me to ponder what would come next for both Tamsin and me. Share this story if you believe that love can conquer even the toughest challenges. Leave a comment about a moment when a difficult decision changed your life, and subscribe for more captivating stories like this one.